Hey guys, Jonathan here, and today we're going to take a look at every summer 2025 LEGO Marvel minifigure and rank them from worst to best. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my ranking, and a huge shout out to LEGO who sent me several of these sets early to review, and several of them I ended up finding early and purchasing on my own, but of course all thoughts expressed here are my own. Alright, starting at the bottom of the list, we have the Chitauri Soldiers. Now, we get 4 of these in the Thor vs. Chitauri battle pack, as it were. And, you know, they are great minifigs in terms of level of detail and everything, but we've just gotten so many of these over the years. And to be kind of honest with you, I'm just sick of getting them, so getting 4 in one battle pack is like, man, they're just going in a drawer in my collection, and after this video, probably not going to see the light of day for a while, sad to say, just because I have too many of them. Unfortunately, next at the bottom of the list are Miles and Gwen, who are both tied because, again, we've just gotten so many of these exact minifigs. Like, LEGO isn't doing anything new with them. In fact, Miles used to get dual molded legs with, like, the black boots, but we haven't gotten those in quite some time now. So, you know, to just throw Miles and Gwen in a set at this point feels kind of lazy. And again, if this is your first intro to LEGO Marvel and you're getting them for the first time, they are really nice minifigs, but at least in Miles' case, there have been better ones with the dual molded legs. And again, since we've gotten them in so many sets and had many opportunities to get them, they're just kind of dull to me. Spider-Man just barely creaks out above Miles and Gwen because, again, we've been getting this exact Spider-Man in sets since 2021, so there's no shortage of them out there. The only reason he's slightly higher is because we do get this Peter Parker head that comes with him in the Peter Parker's apartment set, but as I said in my review for that set, I do think it's very odd that we get Peter Parker's apartment, but you can't even change Peter Parker out of his Spider-Man outfit. Even just getting generic clothes for Peter and giving us a 5th minifig in that set would have helped with the value, but we didn't, so all we could do is talk about what we did get. Age of Ultron Iron Man and Age of Ultron Black Widow are also ranked toward the bottom. We've just gotten these figures in so many sets, and even cheaper sets than the Quinjet these ones are included in, that they're not all that exciting to add yet again. Great minifigs in their own right, even though Black Widow's out of context. You could watch my review for my full rant on that. But, you know, they gotta be at the bottom for that reason. We haven't had Mary Jane in a LEGO set in over a decade, so it is really cool to get her again, but then when you pause and realize that all of these pieces have appeared on other LEGO minifigs over the years, it makes the figure a lot less special, honestly, and it just feels kind of lazy. As we go through this list, you're going to see the majority of these figures from this wave were either already in sets, in a lot of cases many sets, or they're just cobbled together using generic pieces, and then LEGO's like, look, see, she has red hair, it's Mary Jane. I just miss the days when we used to get at least a little something exclusive for the figure to make it stand out, but with this wave, only about half the figures have that distinction. As we climb our way up the list, I now have Thanos that comes in the 4+ Captain America vs. Thanos set. That set is $40 for 107 pieces, and the Thanos minifig is the same one that comes in the Thanos Hulk Monster Truck set. Still can't believe that's a sentence that is able to be said, but it is nice to get the gold helmet here, sure, but how many Thanoses do we need? We just have so many, so I'm just kind of getting tired of adding Thanoses to the collection, but again, as I've said, if this is your first Thanos, then that's awesome for you. Anti-Venom is up next. This is such a cool minifig, and I absolutely cannot believe that we're getting him in the year of 2025, but we got him earlier this year in a $15 mech set, and basically, he also comes in a $55 set, the Peter Parker apartment, and that set is cool, but I feel like putting Anti-Venom in there and making him a villain in the set was kind of a waste. It doesn't really understand his character of being an anti-hero for starters, and secondly, since you can get him in a much cheaper set, putting him in a $55 set doesn't really add a lot of value to that, because I feel like a lot of us already got that mech earlier this year, and honestly, if you just wanted Anti-Venom, getting the mech just to get him there is the better value. So, great minifig, don't get me wrong, but in the context of everything here, he doesn't bring enough newness to the table to be ranked any higher than this for me. Literally everything I said can also be applied to this version of War Machine. We've been getting him for years in LEGO sets, and while it is a great minifig, you know, giving that modern Iron Man flair to War Machine, we've been getting him for so long that, you know, he's not really exclusive. He does come in that $23 Iron Man in War Machine vs. Hammer Drone set, Overpriced for what's there, if you ask me, and it is a great minifig. It's just the fact that we've gotten him so many times. The only reason he's a little higher than Anti-Venom is because, well, it's War Machine, and he is pretty epic, and he does look awesome. Plus, he has more pieces than Anti-Venom, so technically it's a more robust minifig all around, but yeah, that's what I've got to say here. So for similar reasons, up next we have Norman Osborn. Now, I'm really excited that we got Norman in the Oscorp set, because for a lot of people, this is going to be their first official Norman Osborn that isn't the Green Goblin, just regular old Norman. We haven't really had one since the old Tobey Maguire sets 20-some years ago, so to get him here is great. The reason he's so low on the list is because the head has been used on Arthur Weasley and Mrs. Proudfoot from Lord of the Rings, and the torso has been used as recently as the Sherlock Holmes book nook. So, in theory, you could just buy all of these pieces on Bricklink pretty easy, and since he's just a normal civilian and not really a superhero, he's ranked a little bit lower. Eddie Brock is right above Norman, and the only reason is I love seeing Eddie referenced in LEGO. I absolutely hate the face that they used for him. It's that same face that was used on the Winter Soldier in the Civil War airport battle, but I do really like how they built the Venom symbiote coming out of his back, and because it seems like it's a slight reference to the general style of the Sony Venom movies, I really like seeing LEGO branch out and make some things that aren't just strictly MCU, so this is the only reason he's a little higher than Norman, and of course the fact that he uses more pieces than Norman, so it does make for a slightly more epic build. Right above that is Aunt May. Now this torso has been used in LEGO City, so the torso's not new and neither is the hair, but the face is at least new to me. I don't know if it's been used elsewhere, but it's not a face that I have in my collection yet, or that I can instantly ID. I wouldn't be surprised if it was used on like some kind of Harry Potter professor or something like that. But yeah, Aunt May's cool, nice to see her represented, but not too crazy either. And to round out our section of figures made using other parts from other minifigs, we have J. Jonah Jameson. Now, I think that this looks exactly like him from the movie, which is so cool. I think the hairpiece probably could have been black, and that would have looked just as good, but I think they wanted to match the mustache, which is brown, and this face actually debuted in a LEGO Harry Potter set, and of course, the torso was used on Michael Scott, Creed Bratton. It was also used on Professor X from the X-Men mansion, and not the GWP, just from the mansion. But since all of these pieces appeared elsewhere, he's not really super exclusive like the rest of the figures on this list as we ascend our way up, so here we go. We have Spider-Woman. This is such a cool figure. She debuted earlier this year in the Venom car set, earlier in January 2025, but that version had dual molded legs. This one, of course, just got plain black legs, and it came in the Oscorp set, so I don't think it's a bad figure, and I'm really glad to be getting some Spider variants we haven't gotten in years previous, but it's technically a downgrade from the one in the Venom car in a more expensive set, and that math just doesn't check out to me. At number 14, I've got Age of Ultron Hawkeye. Now, this is a really great minifig, don't get me wrong, but he's not technically new. He did appear in one other set, the Age of Ultron Slow-Mo, from exactly a year ago, actually. So it's nice to get him in another set, but, you know, it's actually more expensive to get him in this set than the other one, and I think the other set from last year has a better minifig selection, so it's kind of a mixed bag. But it's still a great minifig with awesome hip, toe, and leg printing. Not a big fan of this head for Jeremy Renner, but other than that, basically a perfect minifig. At number 13, we have Iron Man Mark 6. Now, I do think that this armor looks really great. I love what LEGO's doing with it, and I think they finally figured out how to print on the helmet without it looking too weird. I think it has good dimensionality to it. Of course, it opens up, and we've got Tony's face underneath, and the reason this is at number 11 is because this is the third set it's appeared in. Of course, the one we're looking at here comes in the Iron Man and War Machine vs. Hammer drone set, and we previously got it in the $100 Marvel logo set, as well as the super overpriced Iron Man 3 Hall of Armor set, both of which have come out in 2025. So the figure isn't exclusive, but since this is the cheapest you'll be able to obtain that figure, he's ranked a little bit higher than some of the others here. At number 12, I've got Thor from the Thor vs. Chitauri Endgame battle set, and this does give us a new torso, and by new, I mean new for 2025, because this torso also appeared in that Marvel logo set as well. Since this appeared in one less set than Iron Man, and we do get the rubber cape, which is a nice addition, I'm putting Thor at the number 10 spot to bring us into the top 10. That being said, it's far from a perfect figure. I think that the hair choice doesn't really work for Endgame Thor. I think it needed to be kind of the Qui-Gon Jinn hair in this color, but you can't use that hair with this cape, and so and so and so. There's all kinds of issues there. I really don't like the Stormbreaker build either. I think this is the worst Stormbreaker build we've gotten to date, because when you remove the lightning bolt, it just does not look right at all. So, you know, it's kind of weird to be in the top 10 and then also be just kind of dogging the top 10 figure, but it is what it is, guys. I'm not going to tell you something's perfect if it's not. So here we go into the top 10 even further. At number 11, I've got the 4+ Captain America. That set is super overpriced. It's 107 pieces for $40, but this new Cap torso is very cool. You know, it's very reminiscent of the comic books in a lot of ways, but it's also kind of its own thing. I like that it borrows some design cues from the Age of Ultron suit with the red around the star, but even then it borrows some 2012 coloring with the light blue on the chest there. So I really like this figure. I just wish it wasn't gatekept behind a $40 set. But, you know, I think it's a worthy addition at number 9 just to get us some variants for Captain America. But literally the only new thing here is that torso. Kraven the Hunter brings us into the top 10 at number 10. Now, he has a brand new torso, and he comes in the Oscorp set, and it's really great to get Kraven again after all these years. The last set he was in was the Spider-Man Bridge Battle from 2016, but getting the same Doctor Strange head reused and no leg printing is really a miss to me, because this Doctor Strange head has come in so many Doctor Strange sets, and of course no special printing on the legs means literally the only new thing here is the torso, which I do really love the print on. I think it's a great modern take on Kraven, but at the end of the day, it's literally just one new piece, so it is what it is. Number 9 goes to Endgame Rocket from the Thor vs. Chitauri pack. Now, this only has one new piece, and that is the Endgame torso, but I really like that we finally gotten it in the movie-accurate color of dark blue. You know, getting that printing on the back with his scarf is really cool, and again, only one new piece here makes it hard for him to be ranked any higher than this, but as we're rounding out our Endgame figures and getting just about everybody we saw in Endgame, I'm very glad to get this. I just wonder when we're ever going to get Ronan from Endgame, because he's the big glaring omissions. At number 8, I've got Quicksilver. Now, right off the bat, I absolutely despise this head being used for Aaron Taylor Johnson's likeness. I don't think this looks like Quicksilver from the MCU at all, but that new white hairpiece and that torso are absolutely amazing, and this is our first Quicksilver since 2015, so for a lot of people, it will be absolutely awesome to add him to the collection after all these years, so I definitely like it for that reason, and the head is easy enough to swap out, but judging it by its own merits and what LEGO decided to give us, unfortunately, he can't rank any higher than number 8 for me. At number 7, we've got the Iron Spider from the Iron Spider bust set, and this is really cool because he gets that immaculate arm printing. Now, in the Endgame Final Battle set from earlier this year, we actually did get Iron Spider, and this was our first one since 2018 from Avengers Infinity War, and I like the arms on that version better, but of course, I mean the gold arms, I should say, but he didn't have the printed arms, so getting the printed arms in the bust version is so awesome, and what's crazy is that 2018 version had both the gold arms on the back and the printed arms, so I guess we didn't realize how good we had it when we got that figure all those years ago, but getting an Iron Spider now in a $60 set, albeit an overpriced set, is definitely cool to get those printed arms and get the ultimate version of this suit from the MCU. At number 6, we've got the Green Goblin from the Oscorp set. Now, this is heavily inspired by his design from the recent comic book stories from the 6160 universe, and I really, really like this. Of course, we got toe printing, hip printing, leg printing, front and back torso printing, a new, hood piece here, and printing on the front and back of the head. And while it's not technically a part of the minifig, the Pumpkin Bomb also has a removable fire piece, which looks so unbelievably cool, and I really, really dig this. So, yeah, I think that this is a great minifig. Of course, for it to be 100% comic book accurate, he wouldn't have the gridded teeth on the mask there. It would just be the regular green mask. So he would actually probably be in my top 3, if not for that, because then he'd be basically 100% comic book accurate, but since he's not totally accurate, I feel like number 5 is a good spot for him. At number 5, we've got Doc Ock from the Spider-Man 2 Subway Train set. I don't love this figure, but I do like it a lot more than most others on this list. To me, as somebody that grew up with Spider-Man 2, I mean, I was a kid when it came out in theaters, I had all the Lego sets, all the toys, I just can't get over the fact that Lego had 24 years of prep time and still messed up this figure by making his outermost jacket brown. If you look at the movie, it is an olive green. I will die on that hill. I've seen people comment and go, no, Jonathan, it's more brown. I'm sorry, it's olive green, and if you disagree, we just have to agree to disagree on that. But that being said, it uses the same head from the No Way Home Statue of Liberty set. The hair choice is okay with me. That doesn't super bother me, but the arm construction is absolutely one of my favorites we've ever gotten on a Lego Doc Ock. And if you remove the red studs and put these feet without the, like, inner hands on the bottom, you can actually have him stand on his arms and he can support his own weight, which I think is so unbelievably cool. At number 4, I'm giving it to the Iron Patriot, and for good reason. He's got a brand new printed helmet, a printed torso, and legs with hip and toe printing, which just makes this figure immaculate. When you look back at this list, very few figures got this much level of detail, and after all this time, finally getting the endgame version of Iron Patriot is so awesome, and like I mentioned with Rocket Raccoon earlier, one of the things I love is this really closes the gap on us getting every single endgame minifigure. So really, we're just waiting on Ronin right now, and we'll have some sort of representation for everybody that was in Endgame, at least all the heroes, and I love that. Number 3 goes to the battle-damaged Tobey Maguire Spider-Man from the Subway Train set. And I just love the face on this with the angry gritted teeth. It looks just like Tobey Maguire from the movie. When we flip the head around, we get kind of a more youthful, excited face. And I don't really think that that side looks as much like Tobey as the other side. And we once again get a Spider-Man mask. This is the same head that was used in the No Way Home set, which actually is not accurate to how the mask looks in Spider-Man 2. I get why Lego did it, though. You know, I'm not really going to nitpick that much. It's not that different. It's just somebody that a super Raimi nerd like me would understand. And maybe you too. I guess there's probably a lot of Raimi nerds watching this video. But I do love the battle damage torso with the rips there. It would have been nice to get a little bit more battle damage on the back, or any battle damage for that matter. But I really love this. It's our first battle damaged Spider-Man ever, and that is so, so awesome. The number 2 slot goes to Ultron for me. I really like the way that this one looked in the image reveals, but after seeing it in person, man, this figure is literally perfect. I have nothing bad to say about it. I think that they got the movie likeness down even more so than the original from 2015, and I've always held that figure in high regard too. So I really love what they did with this. Getting hip and toe printing just escalates this beyond, and I think it's an absolutely incredible minifig. And the number 1 spot has to go to the Hobgoblin. This is a minifigure that so many people have wanted because he last came in a set in 2016. So it's been almost a decade. A lot of people haven't gotten the original Hobgoblin for that reason. And so the fact that he comes in a $55 set, yes, that set's overpriced. Yes, $55 is a nice chunk of change, but it's probably a set a lot of people will pick up just to get Hobgoblin, which I love. Now, the mask piece, or the hood piece, is actually the same piece that was used on Moon Knight in the Marvel CMF Series 2, of course recolored to orange for the very first time, and the same thing can be said for the orange Batman cape that's used here. It's the rubber Batman cape, and if we lift this up, he has a reversible head. I wish that both sides of the head had more of different expressions. They both just kind of look like crazy Hobgoblin, like one with gritted teeth, or, you know, something that didn't look quite as, like, happy and maniacal would have been great. You'll notice he has a pumpkin bomb just like Green Goblin, and that hairpiece is removable here as well, which is super, super awesome for making customs. Then as we move down to the torso, this just has immaculate printing on it. We've got that brown strap that goes across his chest, the black belt, great leg printing. No hip printing here, but it's not really needed. The toe printing is absolutely awesome, showing his kind of spiky toes on the shoes. And, of course, we have printing on the back of the torso that has his satchel. And this is just absolutely incredible and absolutely deserving of the number 1 spot. Alright guys, let me know if you agree with the ranking down in the comments. Be sure to stay tuned for minifigure upgrades for a lot of these, since several of them do need upgrades indeed. And be sure to check out my reviews for all the sets that they came in, which are all up on the channel now.